One of the things we decided to do is to do a little bit more research and kind of try and understand what is happening in that implementation space, especially when it comes to looking at how we spending or how are we spending against what we've approved. And here is also looking at the revenue side of things, because money has to come from somewhere to be able to actualize those expenditure lines that we pass. So we decided that we are going to go big and look at all the 47 counties. One of the things that we tried to do is to try and get as much information as we could. Of course, we had information from the controller of budget. That one we had information for every quarter, for all the years. We tried to look at 4 years. So from 2014-2015 up to 2017-2018, which was the last year that we had before the reports that were released last week. We were able to get a couple of county budget review and outlook papers in a couple of counties. We were able to get all the auditor general reports for the counties up to 2017-2018. There's one document we were not able to get except in one county. It is the county's own budget implementation reports, which was a huge gap for us. With the exception of Baringo, for all the other counties, we were not really able to get anything. But really, these documents were not public, they are not available, and that's a big challenge. A very quick one. Number one, counties are not able to spend about a fifth of their budgets. If counties approve budgets of 100 billion shillings, they are not spending 20 billion shillings. But there's something curious, of course, around the development budget. Okay, so development budget is at 58%. And these are across 4 years, from 2014-15, 2015-16, 2016-17, and 2017-18. So credibility is quite low and much worse when it comes to development spending. Number two is that budgets change all the time. And what we notice is that all counties changed their budgets in all the 4 years. There's not one time where any county did not change its budget. So supplementaries, and whether they are 1 or 2 or as many as possible, are definitely happening. So again, the question that comes in is how open is that space and what opportunities exist for citizens and for CSOs like those of us in this room to have some influence in that changing that is happening within the year of implementation. Finding number 3, the performance of your counties, whether they absorb their budgets well or they don't absorb their budgets well, has very little to do on how well you collect your local revenue. This one surprised me. The reason that is given in every single report we looked at, from the COB reports to the county reports that we got, is that one of the challenges to good implementation of our budgets is poor collection of local revenue. Finding number 4, budget performance is volatile, very erratic, up and down. As I said at the beginning, budget credibility is not just about you spending 100% of your budget, but is doing it consistently. One thing we noticed is that consistency is not there. County X, this time is able to do 85% of its approved budget. The next year, it drops to 60%. The other year, it shoots up. When you go to recurrent and development, the behavior is also the same. Then the last one, so sector performance also shows some very interesting dynamics. Health is heavily recurrent. Okay? Health has very good spending on the recurrent side of its budget. This is an average across all 47 counties, across all the 4 years. Roads is heavily development. Across all the years, roads and across all the sectors has the best absorption when it comes to development funds. So just little interesting things in terms of observation. And it's important for me to mention here that the changes I spoke about before tend to increase the budgets to certain sectors. Do you guys want, so we already saw roads and we saw health. Do you want to guess what the other two are? County assemblies and the county executive services, where you have the governor, the county secretaries, and the rest. Do you want to guess where it drops? Water and agriculture. Okay, so when the supplementaries happen, there are certain sectors that get higher allocations and others that get lower allocations. So again, this is broadly across all the counties, Probably the nuances might be slightly different in your counties.
The first unique challenge is the low capacity of the contractors who are engaged by the county government to execute implementation of the water project. Low capacity in which terms? Both resource, that is the financial muscle, and also the issue of equipment. So most of the contractors, they were not adhering to the implementation time frame. So most of the projects were rolled over to the next financial year. So once those projects are rolled over, it brings down the performance of the absorption rate of the budget of the department.
Notable challenges they have said is, of course, disbursement of funds from the National Treasury. For like year 2017, 2018, they quoted that the National Treasury had locked development funds. That is why across that year the absorption was really bad. Actually, basically, for that 2017-2018, the electioneering period, the absorption rate was actually 14% for the whole county budget.
Nairobi has a big challenge of spending on-source revenue. On-source revenue, spending at source. On-source revenue, spending at source. You remember, all money should go to the county revenue fund. Then now it is again sent back now to the different departments or sectors. But now Nairobi has that challenge of spending at source.
Another thing we saw is the centralized procurement systems. The procurement is centralized at one point. One office called procurement office. All 13 departments, all projects the county is supposed to do is supposed to be passed in that one particular docket. This may be 2, 4, 7 people in that particular docket. So interests start playing around there. So which are the giant projects that we can even benefit or feed into them? So those are the things that start happening that will again at the end affect the implementation of the budget.
And the final thing we also discovered is that between quarter 1, pesa ile allocated in quarter 1 and quarter 4 is very different. Okay? So there is a shift. So somehow you'd expect if we gave you 100 shillings at quarter 1, at quarter 4, the allocation should still remain as 100. However, supplementary budgets are done in there, and we find you either have less or more by quarter 4, which also raised that issue John was alluding to. So if we would expect, if we had the best way of planning our budgets, then we wouldn't need the supplementaries to adjust monies.